The scriptures are clear as to the role of the angels at creation in response to the commandment of the Almighty. By the word of Yahweh were the heavens made, and all the hosts of them by the breath of his mouth. Psalm 33 and verse 6. Yahweh gave the command, and the angels obeyed. He said, "Let there be light," and there was light. Genesis chapter 1 and verse 3. He spoke, and it was done. He commanded, and it stood fast. Psalm 33 and verse 9. So it was the angels, the Elohim, who were the agents through which the Almighty accomplished his will in creating the heavens and the earth. So it is that we read in Genesis chapter 1, "In the beginning Elohim created the heavens and the earth." God said, "Let light come to be." Then there came to be light. Psalm 33 and verse 6. Genesis chapter 1 and verse 3. It should not be understood from this that the deity himself does not work. See John chapter 5 and verse 17. But he does have tens of thousands of angels that respond to his word and carry out his will. See Psalm 103 and verse 20. But after the 6 days of creation, the angels still have a creative role to play, for during the 6,000 years of creation, their working in human affairs is essential for the development of those called out for the name of the Lord. As we read in Hebrews, they are all ministering spirits sent forth to minister for them who shall be heirs of salvation. Hebrews chapter 1 and verse 14. We, who have been called out from the world to become sons of the living God, are the heirs of salvation if we remain faithful. So the word of Yahweh is clear. The angels are our ministers. Their purpose is to ensure the outworking of God's will, both in world affairs but also in us as individuals. The angels have the charge of ministering to us and our needs. Right from the beginning, the angels have been intimately involved with human affairs. Genesis chapter 1 and verse 26 reads, "And Elohim said, Let us make man in our image, after our likeness." The reference to "our" in this place shows this point. We are made after the physical and moral likeness of the Elohim. Again, following the sin of the first human pair, Yahweh Elohim said, "Behold, the man is become as one of us, to know good and evil." The angels were given the charge of ministering to those who took hold of the Almighty's plan of redemption, keeping them in the way. See Exodus chapter 23 and verse 20, bringing them through the trials of life. Genesis chapter 48 and verse 16, that they might also attain to immortality, being made equal to them. See Luke chapter 19 and verse 36, when restored to the friendship of the deity. As we have seen from Hebrews chapter 1 and verse 10, the angels are our ministers, that is, each saint has his or her own personal angel which ministers to him or her. This is not merely a fairy story taught to children as the world would have us believe, but it is clearly scriptural teaching. Consider these words of the Messiah: "Take heed that ye despise not one of these little ones, for I say unto you that in heaven their angels do always behold the face of my Father which is in heaven." Matthew chapter 18 and verse 10. The disciples who become as children before their Father have their own angels. We must not despise one of these little ones, for their angel stands in the presence of God in heaven. The Lord had his own angel spoken of in the book of Revelation, the revelation of Jesus Christ, which God gave unto him to show unto his servants things which must shortly come to pass, and he sent and signified it by his angel unto his servant John. Revelation chapter 1 and verse 1. It is evident that the apostles believed that they each had an angel. When Peter was released from prison, he came to Mary's house and knocked on the gate. A young damsel, when she knew Peter's voice, she opened not the gate for gladness, but ran in and told how Peter stood before the gate. And they said unto her, Thou art mad. But she constantly affirmed that it was even so. Then said they, It is his angel. Acts chapter 12, verses 14 and 15. Thus, not believing that Peter had been released, in seeking for an explanation, they said, It is his angel. See Matthew chapter 18 and verse 10, Matthew chapter 2 and verse 13 and 19, Psalm 34 and verse 7, Hebrews chapter 1 and verse 14.